What was the most impactful thing that the quiet one in the class said? It was the end of the school year, and we were making hot dogs as a farewell. A classmate burned his ear, reaching for the cheese that was on the fire. The burn was severe, and the quiet boy in the class coming from the bathroom, when he entered the classroom, said, "It smells like human flesh." The teacher said we were going to do an experiment, and she sent us each to bring something. When she said, "I need a 25-centimeter hose," the quiet boy said, "Here it is," while pointing to his crotch. He never spoke again. One day at a talent show, a student got up on stage and gave a speech about how the school system at our school was screwed up. The only response from his parents was that their son was right. In the middle of class he left the classroom, and as he was about to leave he said, "Goodbye, prisoners." And from that day on, every time we leave somewhere, we say that. There was a guy in the classroom who was just bothering the quiet guy, and when the quiet guy got fed up with him, he said, "I'll give you 3 seconds to leave." And the guy replied, "What are you going to do to me if I don't leave?" And the quiet guy grabbed his backpack, threw it aside, grabbed the chair and smashed it over his head. After that, no one bothered the quiet one again. Once we were in a group of 3 on the school playground, the quiet one, me and a cousin. When the typical rich, big girl arrived, she immediately started bothering my cousin saying that he was short, and that didn't make him attractive as a man, and so on. To which the quiet one came out, saying that she was flatter than an encyclopedia page, and that didn't make her very attractive as a woman. Her friends who accompanied her couldn't hold in their laughter. At that, she gets upset and goes to find the teacher to accuse him. The teacher asks my friend what happened, but he doesn't answer. In the end, I ended up explaining what happened. At that, the teacher scolds the girl, because she had told him that he had gone to harass her, and that if she is going to joke, she should put up with the jokes. At that, the quiet one interrupts and says, "Don't be sensitive, it's just a joke. Don't take it so hard." I would pay to see the girl's face again, and hear the professor laugh. In the end, the quiet one ended up dating the girl. He was a real badass. In elementary school there was a quiet girl, who no one ever heard her speak, from 4th grade until she left elementary school. The day before prom she said, "I liked studying with you all." Even the teacher was surprised. No one has heard from her since that day. I was the quiet kid in elementary and middle school, but in the later grades I kept scaring people coming into the classroom, hiding behind the door. We were in high school and there was a boy who didn't talk. Coincidentally, we were going to have an important exam, and only he had the notes, but nobody wanted to talk to him. I got up the courage, went up to him and talked to him, but he ignored me and started playing with his pencils, like they were people and they died or something. And when I was about to leave, he said, "You'd look better without a head," and continued in his game. I never spoke to him again and I flunked. Then this kid who hardly ever spoke, one day he asked the teacher what time it was. It was an after-school activity and there was no clock. The teacher says the classic, "It's time for you to get a watch," which, for some reason, was funny to everyone else. The quiet child doesn't laugh. He looks the teacher straight in the eye and, once everything calmed down, says, "So are you going to tell me the time or what?" We were in 7th grade. While we were in genetics class, one kid was being a real jerk, and the teacher couldn't get him to shut up. Then, after talking about inbreeding in dogs, one quiet kid raises his hand and says, "So is it likely that Peter the idiot has become so retarded?" My friend at the time was a quiet kid who always got picked on, and one day reaching his limit, he got his pants pulled down in front of everyone. He got really mad, but didn't say anything. After that bad time, I saw him go to a ravine we have near the school at recess time. Then I found out that he went to get an iron rod and, half an hour before recess was over, he found the kids who were bothering him in a classroom, locked them in without them noticing and gave them the beating of their lives. He almost got expelled, if it weren't for the social counselor who stood up for him. A year ago, the quiet boy was watching 4 girls start yelling and calling each other names. Then, the boy said, "When the name calling starts, their arguments end." Anyway, that stopped the argument and everyone laughed at them. The quiet boy in my grade stood up one day, grabbed a broom, climbed on a chair, and started trying to swat the bees that came in. A bee landed on his window, and the quiet boy proceeded to scream, "Die bee, die," and then hit and smashed the window. He screamed when it happened and then sat back down. I never heard him speak again. In high school, my group of friends, we were kind of the quiet ones in the class, but if there was one thing I was sure of, it was that whenever anyone heard us talking, it was always to see that we were just discussing certain stupid things, like My Little Pony power levels, weird anecdotes like hatching an egg in a microwave, or that they stopped a friend at customs because a dog sniffed a Cheeto in his pants. I am the quiet girl in my classroom. One day we did a social round, and the most popular girls in my class asked me what I thought of them, to which I replied, "They think they're cute, and they're only popular because they slept with half the school." They shut up and we continued with the coexistence round. In high school they indiscriminately teased one girl, made jokes about her to her face, until they made the joke that she might do a bombing at school. Then the girl stopped what she was doing, looked at the group and said to them, "Why would anyone waste a bullet on you? Who told you that you were so important to that?" Then she smiled quietly and went back to what she was doing. For about 5 minutes, no one knew what to say. She had told the populace that they were worthless, and not important outside the school setting. They continued to tease her after that, but less frequently. I tell an anecdote about my friend, who was basically the quiet kid. It turns out that since he never contributed anything to the class, the bully in the classroom wanted to start picking on him, and one day he came up to him and said, "Hey, you're gay, aren't you?" and laughed. And my friend replied, "Why, are you looking for a boyfriend?" A girl and a boy were fighting in class while yelling at each other, and as soon as the teacher came in, he asked what they were doing. The quiet girl said, "Mating ritual." Worst of all, the two boys ended up together afterwards. I remember one time in high school, the rambunctious guy in the room was being more obnoxious than usual, and I stuck the tip of a pen in his leg. I was best friends with the quiet kid in high school. It wasn't that shocking, but it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard him say. He got this puzzled look and simply said, "I can't remember what color my dog is." One time I was sitting in my classroom. In a nutshell, I'll say I was the quiet one in the room. A new girl greeted me with a "hello." I greeted her back, and everyone there was surprised as ever. I just replied, "Someone had to say hello to me sometime, don't you think?" "Stop pretending everyone likes you, you idiot," said the quiet student to the most popular boy in my high school class. This kid was so weird that honestly no one noticed him, but one day he was sitting across from me at a table, and he sees this girl in really tight shorts, and he says, "Yeah, I could have my head up her ass for months." It was pretty shocking. The quiet one in the room was the smartest, and the highest grader in the whole school, and yet no one noticed that he was also the strongest and biggest in the room. When a new boy appeared, the first thing he did was to bother him. What he didn't know was that he was the best at everything, and as soon as he started to tease the boy, he hit him so hard that he broke his nose and almost broke his arm. After that day, no one messes with the quiet one. The quiet boy in my classroom was and is my best friend, and one day out of nowhere he started to get violent. In one day he stuck me with a pencil, and when I neglected him at recess, he hit a kid who was bothering him. If you know any story about it, you can leave it in the comments. Remember to give a like and subscribe to see new videos. Thank you very much for your visit.